What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight, October 7th, Monday evening here, we have a good game starting here in about 15-20 minutes. So I just wanted to kind of hop on here and show you guys my Week 5 post-game notes. Now, this is a feature that I have available for members on the fantasyfellowship.com. So if you guys are interested and you guys find this information useful, I highly recommend checking it out. It's only $8 a month to be a membership. There's other packages in there if you guys want to get different pricings on things. But this is probably one of the most important things that I put together for the website here. Again, it's just called the post-game notes. And I'm reviewing the snaps, the routes, the box scores for each game. I'm going to try and do this live, but I'm still unsure on how I want to do this going forward. But I post them in a downloadable format here. You guys can download the PDF. And basically what it is it's just these boxes. And I'm going to go by game here. But the Buccaneers, the Falcons, this game was on Thursday Night Football last week. You're going to see the snaps, the routes, and then all of the fantasy numbers that were relevant in this game here. So this is a way to kind of just see, okay, this player, this team did this, that week, or this player's moving up and getting more snaps and routes. It's a very, very easy way to just see the whole entire snapshot of a game. So in this Buccaneers game, we know Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are the 1 and 2 wide receivers, but I find it interesting to see Sterling Shepard here, 22 routes. He's the number 3 receiver when Trey Palmer or Jalen McMillan are not in. You also have Cade Otton, man, just running a ton of snaps and routes. Like he's a guy that I'm open to picking up as a tight end 1 if you need some help there. And then the running backs here, Rachaad White and Bucky Irving, 34 snaps for Bucky, or for Rashad, 23 for Bucky, 17 routes for White, 11 for Bucky Irving. Irving did lose the fumble, which hurts his bottom line number here. But overall, these guys both played fairly well. I think both guys are going to be kind of low-end RB2s going forward. And Baker Mayfield, man, he was just hyper efficient. He was 19 for 24, 180 yards, 3 touchdowns, 6 carries, 42 yards. And then the way to kind of read this is, Baker Mayfield, he had 30 under the routes column. So he had basically 30 dropbacks. He threw 19 receptions, 19 completions. He had 24 targets on the day here in 180 yards, 3 touchdowns. So that's kind of how you read these charts. The Falcons, Kirk Cousins, man, he just blew up here. He completed 42 passes, 58 total targets, 509 yards. I didn't think we'd see a 500-yard passer anytime soon, just with the way the season started. And then the 4 touchdowns. And, I mean, he floated 5 usable receiving options in terms of fantasy. This is not a normal game by any means, but we have to take note of Darnell Mooney, who I think might be just a must-start wide receiver 3 flex going forward. He had 16 targets of the 58, 9 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. He had 2 receivers. Kirk had 2 receivers over 30 PPR points here, and Drake London was one of the other ones here with the 12 receptions, 154 yards, and a touchdown. He left a little bit of this game, but he came back. Ray McCloud did kind of fill in as the number 2 receiver. We're kind of interested in Ray McCloud in games where there's maybe shootout potential, or if there's an injury to Mooney or London or something like that. McCloud could be of interest to us. Kyle Pitts finally got going, but, I mean, London, McCloud, and Mooney all out-targeted him, and it took 58 Kirk Cousins targets for Kyle Pitts just to get 8. So I'm not super excited about Kyle Pitts here. I might be trying to sell Kyle Pitts if I can, honestly. And then Bijan, man, this game, it got out of hand as far as running the ball and leaning heavy into the passing game. But 12 for 61, 6 for 12 for Tyler Algier. But they're kind of just both getting the same amount of receptions and target usage here. Bijan's running a lot more routes, but not getting quite that top 5, top 10 running back, I guess the top 5 pick potential that we took with Bijan Robinson. So a little bit disappointed here, but Bucks Falcons, it was a fun game, Thursday Night Football. The London game, Jets 17, Vikings 23. I guess the main takeaway for me, Rodgers threw the ball 54 times in this one. This is not a normal workload for a passing game here. Wilson did lead the way with 22 targets. I think Allen Lazard is the clear number 2 target. He's leading the team in snaps and routes. He's ahead of Mike Williams for now, and he's continuing to catch touchdowns. So for me, the pecking order here in the New York Jets is Wilson, Lazard, Williams. I think Tyler Conklin continues to play a lot and gets a lot of receptions and targets here. So he's interesting as a tight end 1 streamer. And then Breece Hall, man, not I mean, both backs are not running the ball well right now. 9 for 23 for Breece, 5 for 13 for Braylon Allen. Breece is still getting targets and things like that. I think this is going to get better, but we've had 2 duds in a row from this running back tandem, Breece and Braylon Allen. And Breece doesn't quite have that RB1 upside that we thought he was going to get. They like to use Braylon Allen. I think Breece Hall just is going to remain a top 5, top 10 back, not quite the top 1 or 2 backs in fantasy right now. But Jets struggled on offense. There were a couple 3 interceptions from Aaron Rodgers there. Could have been a better day in terms of touchdowns. And then on the Vikings side here, Aaron Jones, they have a bye week 6. We'll monitor this, but Ty Chandler came in and got the bell cow look, basically 14 for 30 as a rusher. He had a couple targets, ran a lot of routes, and then Myles Gaskin was RB2 here. So we'll watch for that. I think we're getting TJ Hawkinson back week 7 or 8. We'll watch for that. And then it's basically Justin Jefferson. I don't know if I quite trust Jordan Addison yet as the 2nd or 3rd guy. And with TJ Hawkinson coming back, I might be looking to sell Jordan Addison. But the Vikings continuing to play well. This was actually Darnold's worst game as a fantasy starter. So maybe things are changing a little bit there, but they continue to play good football. Panthers, Bears. Not sure what's going to happen with the Panthers at QB here. It is kind of a mess right now. They did bring in Andy Dalton or Bryce Young at the end of the game. Andy Dalton just wasn't effective. This Bears defense is really, really good, though. So I don't want to just throw away the Panthers offense after one bad game. Xavier Legette did get hurt in this one. We'll see if he's able to go for week 6. Just came up as a nothing. Chuba Hubbard, though, Chuba's really good, man. I don't know if we're going to see Jonathan Brooks soon, but I think Chuba Hubbard deserves to keep on playing and getting his touches. Deontay Johnson did the kind of disappearing act here. He did lead the team with snaps, routes, and targets on the day, but only 3 for 23. Did get 2 carries for 6 yards. I think he's going to probably slot into a wide receiver 2-3 for my rankings. But otherwise, keep an eye on Jalen Coker. If Legette can't go, Coker stepped in as the number 3, went 4 for 68. We don't care about the tight ends. We don't really care about Mingo. I'm going to continue to play Hubbard despite the turbulence here, and then Andy Dalton should get another start. The Bears, DeAndre Swift, man, he's playing really good football right now. 21 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. Roschon Johnson, though, 10 for 25 and 2 touchdowns. It could have been a huge day for DeAndre Swift. Roschon did have 2 goal line plunges here, but the running backs are being productive here for Chicago. Also 2 for 47 as a receiver for Swift. You got to continue to play Swift. Right now, he's a strong RB2, and this usage is actually running back 1 usage. So start Swift. DJ Moore continues to be the one guy that I'm comfortable with the Bears receivers for my starting lineups. 5 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. I don't want Keenan Allen near my starting lineup right now until things change. I think I'd rather play Rome Odunze over Keenan Allen. So pecking order is DJ Moore, Odunze, Keenan Allen. The good news is it looks like they've committed to 3 wide receivers as their main base offense now. Cole Kmet, 28 routes as the third, or I guess the first tight end. But this offense is changing, and it's changing in a good way. They're getting their best players on the field, less 2 tight end stuff. And Kmet's worth a look as a tight end 1 streamer right now. Patriots offense, I don't really want to get too much into this. Again, this offense right now is not really important for Miami. You can still play Tyreek and Waddle. They have, 8 to 12 points here at the top of the chart. I don't care about Odell Beckham coming back. Jonnu Smith, though, looks like he's got something with Tyler Huntley potentially. I don't know if Tua is going to be back for week 8 or week 9 or whatever, but we're getting for sure at least 1 more, if not 2 games of Tyler Huntley. So maybe Jonnu Smith is the guy week 7 if you need a tight end. And then Devon Achane left with a concussion. We saw Raheem Mostert lead the way with 19 for 80 on the ground. But Jalen Wright, man, he's getting more opportunities, and he's looking good. 13 for 86. I'm not going to be shocked if we see more Jalen Wright after the bye. And we'll see about Devon Achane. I expect him to play week 7. But both Mostert and Jalen Wright held the fort down, and the Dolphins ran their way to a win. The Patriots, I don't really care about this offense. Ramondre bounced back, but he lost a lot of snaps and routes and opportunities here from Antonio Gibson. So he still ran for a touchdown. He had good underlying numbers on the fantasy day, but Antonio Gibson's going to continue to be involved and kind of lower some of that ceiling here. So I still like Gibson as an RB2 flex option. Gibson kind of a deep end RB2 desperation play. But Jalen Polk's the guy to keep an eye on. He blew away this team with snaps, routes, only converted 1 for 6 on his targets for 13 yards, but it's very clear that they want him to be their leading receiver in routes and snaps. So keep an eye on Jalen Polk. I do like Demario Douglas as their most productive player, but we really shouldn't be starting any Patriots receivers. I don't really know what to think about the Browns here. I think they need to change to Jameis Winston to get this truly unlocked. Jerome Ford and Deonta Foreman each had 9 carries in this one. Ford's still the primary receiving back. I think when Nick Chubb returns, which could be week 7 or 8, I believe, we could see Jerome Ford still retain, those 7 to 10 carries and 2 to 4 receptions per game. So I think I'm actually open to buying Jerome Ford right now if you want. He's going to continue to be an 8 to 12 point PPR back. David Njoku got hurt. Amari Cooper still getting 10 targets. I think you continue starting him, but I think we do need to see Jameis Winston at some point. The Commanders just didn't have to do much. I don't really need to recap this. You're still starting Terry McLaurin. I think Zach Ertz, man, getting 8 targets was really nice, but only 2 for 10 as a receiver. A little bit disappointing. Austin Eckler looked good. Ran a lot of routes in this one, 6 for 67 as a rusher. Brian Robinson, not very effective, but he gets 2 touchdowns. And then Jeremy McNichols is playing good as a second or third running back here. So Washington just kind of keeps on humming. The Colts, I don't know how much to take from this, but if Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback, yeah, you want to play Pittman, Downs, and maybe Alec Pierce. They all looked really good. Trey Sermon, I thought, looked fine in relief here for Jonathan Taylor. I don't think Taylor's going to play this week, so maybe we get another week out of Sermon. But Goodson looked good as well. 3 for 31 as a receiver, 5 for 26 as a rusher. Sermon gets the touchdown. But Joe Flacco, man, he's a super flex option if you need a quarterback. The Jags finally had something go their way in 2024 here. Tank Bigsby is going their way. 13 for 101 and 2 touchdowns. Now, ETN's been dinged up with a shoulder each of the last 2 games. Maybe this is not what it's going to look like going forward. Maybe it's more ETN, but I do like that they're throwing the ball. I mean, they came into this game, and this was probably the Jags' best offensive game plan. 7 targets for ETN. You got the tight end involved. You got Brian Thomas and Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis involved. This was a great game from the Jags offense, and I'm hoping that they can stack this. Now, they do run into the Bears this next week, so that makes a little difficulty to stack success, but I think the Jags are they're trending in the right direction. I'm going to probably end this video pretty quickly here. Again, this is an article that it's on my membership for the fantasyfellowship.com. It's only $8 a month, guys. If you guys need a promo code or anything, just hit me up on X and I can maybe send you a couple dollars off for your first month. But check this stuff out. This is some of the most important information, I think, for fantasy football. You want to know who's running the routes, who's getting the snaps, where the targets are going, and seeing if that person is getting productivity out of their opportunity. So Bills, they needed Khalil Shakir. This looked really awful. Josh Allen was 9 for 30 and just a touchdown, but James Cook is the dude of this offense. We'll watch for Nico Collins this week in practice reports. They're saying week to week, so I'm going to assume he's out. Maybe keep an eye on Xavier Hutchinson in your waiver wire. And then Joe Mixon, man, they're saying that he might not be ready yet. So Cam Akers and Dare Ogunbowale might be the guys that we're looking for another week here. I want to know why this one is different shaped than that one. But anyways, Raiders, Brock Bowers, cool. Amir Abdul, Alexander Madison. I like Jacoby Myers, but this offense is dying. The Broncos, Bo Nix maybe in Superflex. Javonte Williams looked like he's back. He's a big receiver and a volume rusher right now. Kyler Murray looked good. Didn't really get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved here, though. So the Cardinals win despite throwing the ball a lot. It was mostly James Conner taking care of the ball here for Kyler Murray. The 49ers, we got everything we wanted out of Brandon Ayuk, but nothing out of Deebo Samuel. George Kittle's a must start. We know that. Jordan Mason had his worst game. But Brock Purdy continues to play well. Did throw 2 interceptions in this one. Jordan Love did fine despite missing 2 of his top receivers, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. Jaden Reed's really good, guys. And Tucker Kraft. I think Tucker Kraft might be a top 5 tight end going forward. The Rams, man, they're on bye week 6, but they're going to be getting back Cooper Kupp for week 7, so I'm excited about how that offense is going to look. And pick up Blake Corum. Blake Corum looked really good, 5 for 25, 1 for 8 as a receiver. And then one of the surprises of the day, the Giants over the Seahawks in Seattle. Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, both those guys 8. Theo Johnson, another tight end here that we can monitor potentially for later in the year. But Tyrone Tracy was the story, 18 for 129 as a rusher. Maybe he eats into Devin Singletary's workload, but Daniel Jones, guys, playing like a fringe QB1. And then the Seahawks, Geno got sacked, I think, 7 times. just couldn't really stay consistent all day here. He still comes through as a QB1, though, with that rushing line. And then last night, the Cowboys-Steelers, quick takeaway from the Cowboys. Jalen Tolbert looks really good, 7 for 10, 87 yards and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb still getting frustrated and some weird things going on with him and Dak. Kevontae Turpin looked good. Jake Ferguson looks great. I think Ferguson's my number 2 or number 3 tight end for the rest of the year. And then Rico Dowdle looked great. 20 for 87 as a rusher. He caught 2 for 27 and a touchdown. I think Rico's a must start going forward. Very excited for Dowdle. And then the Steelers, like, this offense kind of bottomed out. Justin Fields continued to play good enough to keep them in this game. 2 touchdowns to the tight ends. George Pickens, though, downgraded on snaps and routes. I don't know why. Mike Tomlin said they're just rotating him and trying to get, more from less, which I don't really agree with. I think Najee Harris is probably done. If I have Najee, I'm selling Najee, because when Jalen Warren and Cordero Patterson comes back, I mean, Najee can't even get 10 fantasy points per game right now. So I'm selling Najee. Steelers offense, got some questions. Maybe we see Russell Wilson soon. Back-to-back losses here for the Steelers. But that's it, guys. This is the post-game snaps. I hope you guys found this interesting. Again, go to thefantasyfellowship.com. I'll probably link it in the description. But members also get access to my start sits, my weekly rankings, my waiver wire report, rest of season rankings, these post-game notes, and then my dynasty rankings. Tons of content in there for you guys. So check that out. Let me know what you guys think. And thank you for watching. Enjoy the Monday night game. We'll see you guys on the live stream tomorrow night for the waiver wire. Have a good one. Peace.